Continue the this podcast. We have a special guest, Dr. Vanessa Lin, who's been with Eyes on Sheppard for the last 8 months. And Dr. Lin's a graduate from the University of Waterloo School of Optometry, and she's resident trained. And maybe she can give us a different perspective versus an old timer who's been in practice for 30 years. So we welcome Dr. Vanessa Lin to the table.
So like Dr. Kerry said, I went from University of Waterloo. I did actually have a little bit of real life experience because my residency was actually in a private practice as opposed to an academic setting. So I think I had a little bit of that leg up where they talked a little bit more about practice management, and I did hear a little bit about the handoff and whatnot. But I do find coming back here, working in a new private practice in a new city, there's so many things that they don't teach you about in school, such as who to refer to in the area, or what is the best treatment or management for certain patients in a more real life setting in terms of follow-up times, what can they afford, what's realistic to get them back. So that kind of real life piece, I think, can still be very challenging, even being out of school and being out of residency for probably 6-8 months now. Mm-hmm.
Out of curiosity, was there a point where you wanted to, have you thought about owning your own practice and running your own practice?
I did, I think, when I was in school.
Okay.
And now that I'm in private practice, I realize how much work it is and how it really never shuts down. I think I'd still be open to it after gaining a little bit more real life experience, especially in a setting like this where there's so many moving parts at all times. Yeah. Maybe ask me in a few years.
Okay. Yeah, but doesn't the environment that you're in?
Yes.
Motivating, isn't it?
Yeah, very.
Compared to being in in a dated office,
yes,
with a 100%. Different mindset and everything. Mm-hmm. Everything revolves around your environment, what's around you, right? Because it rubs off on you. And just like I keep saying all the time on my episodes, is that the energies that are created between the doctor and the staff, they reflect to the patient and to the customer, right? And it's appreciated, right?
Mm-hmm.
It creates a bond.
Yeah.
And the bond creates the curiosity, and the curiosity creates the bond, and it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's proven that at the end, everyone reaps the reward. Mm-hmm. Right. So there's that question. So you are blessed to be in this environment.
I feel like the shift in the industry going towards a more modern-looking office and changing the look to not be so clinical is also affecting our young doctors. We've worked for quite a few young doctors now that have bought aged out practices, and the first thing they do not out of school, but after purchasing this practice is flip it. It needs to be renovated because they probably worked for a doctor like Kerry who saw the vision and changed his office to make it the place he enjoys to be, except the place that his staff enjoys to be, the place that his patients enjoy to be. And they bought this aged out practice, and they have to immediately drop a bunch of money to renovate it because they're used to that space now too. I can count on one hand just in the past few months how many new doctors we've worked for that bought out aged out offices and gave us a call immediately saying I don't even want to open without freshening up at least a small minor fresh up, let alone a whole renovation.
I think as professionals, we work really hard, and then we want to treat ourselves, and then we go out and we go shop for something, we buy something, right? And then we pay really close attention to what our shopping experience is, right? Now, as a business owner, the things that we like and we enjoy in that shopping experience, do we bring that to the private practice? Do we offer that experience to patients who also lead stressful, hard lives and are there looking for a great experience? And I think that if you can confidently say yes, then you're doing something right. If you're burnt out and you don't think that you're offering the best experience and being really honest about it, then that's something that you can kind of self-reflect on and look at. And I think it's pretty awesome because, Doc, as you said, you're here 8 to 10 hours a day. You're here more than you are at home, essentially, right? And so the people that you work with are You spend more time with them than your family members often, and your surroundings and the coffee that you drink at the office is by now more important than the coffee that you drink at home because it's more regular, right? So making sure that you keep a great standard for yourself is super important. It is one of the best ways to show self-care, I think, and then being able to carry that on to your patients. So I think it's a pretty interesting perspective.
Vanessa, when you were in school, you said, hey, you know what, you thought about the idea of opening up a business. Besides seeing what a business involves, were student loans part of the challenge in terms of, I just got to get my feet on the floor, see patients, pay off these debts? What's the mentality of a graduating class, when they now have the opportunity to open up a practice, work corporate? What's the low-hanging fruit for them?
I mean, I think it's hard to even gauge what the norm is when you're coming out of school. And even now, I think if we're talking about the financial aspect, I think at least me and my closer circles, it's a little bit more candid with how things are. The student loans for sure is a big thing that I think it would deter a lot of, at least my friends, from wanting to own right off the bat. But I almost wish there was more resources or more real life perspectives on what you can expect straight out of school and in all the various different settings that you can be in, this versus side by side versus like whatever else it might be. And also what kind of goes into, I guess, the parts of the practice, like building a loyal patient base, building a stable patient base, finding somewhere where you are getting that growth and getting that innovation or whatever else you're looking for in your career, on top of the financial aspect is a tricky thing to do. And I don't think you can really know what direction to go in until you are in those settings yourself. So
I think it's a great point, because I know that, corporate optometry for new grads with very limited experience are throwing out these signing bonuses that if I was a new grad, I'd be tempted to take that as well.
Mm-hmm. I was just about to ask that. That is reality.
Oh,
right?
it's reality.
How?
I mean,
if you don't mind, we can't talk about this, right? We're not going to get any shit.
No, you can. Somebody that wants to be in a rural setting can make $150,000 signing bonus with guaranteed minimums. Now, as a business
but
case,
what I'm saying is the big corporate boys.
Yeah.
They'll come in and say, okay, there's 90 grads coming out this year. Mm-hmm. I'm going to pay 30% of what you owe in your loans. Mm-hmm. But you're going to sign with us for 3 years or 4 years. That is happening,
it happens
right?
in the
It's
States,
tempting,
absolutely.
Not here in Canada.
I don't know if it happens in Canada.
In Waterloo,
there were, I don't have any personal experience with that, but I know there's some people that relocated to very rural areas, and I'm sure they had a really big signing bonus with that.
So there was an incentive from big corporate to. This is what I'm asking, because I know that it is happening in the States, right?
I mean, so I had a conversation one time over dinner with, I was actually at a wedding, right? And I was sat with a group of optometrists at the wedding because the person that got married was an optometrist as well, a friend of mine. And I had on one side a gentleman who is a second generation optometrist. He and his dad are optometrists. And they owned their private practice, and the rest of the table were all LensCrafters employees, all LensCrafters ODs. And so my question to them was, why don't you just open up your own practice? Don't you see how much money there's on the table? It seems to me like such like an open and shut kind of thing. And the feedback that I got was kind of surprising. They said that they liked being able to leave work at work. They like being able to take time off and travel when they want to and take 2 to 3 trips a year. And that was kind of like the attitude and mentality. Like they feel like they've worked hard enough to become a doctor. They didn't want the added stress of starting and owning a business at that juncture of their life. They wanted to enjoy travel and some other things where they're not so committed at that point of their lives. And honestly, if you know that about yourself, I 100% respect it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like owning a business isn't for everybody. I think there's so much more fun in running and opening a business and really running it, right? Like I said, not having it run you run your business and treating it as, who doesn't like a good game of real life Monopoly?
But is there enough like blueprint? If you're a recent grad and you want to open up your own practice, obviously you have to go to the bank, get a loan. I know in dentistry in the US, if you're a dentist, they'll give you a loan. And there's a lot of blueprints on what kind of dentist office you want to run. And in optical, I'm just wondering we need to know what options we have, right? To run a practice. There's so many options, right? But are there like proven blueprints that, depending on what city, what demographic you're catering to, or where you want to be? I feel like optical, there needs to be more independent blueprints like that new grads or new business owners can look at. And of course, seeing all this, you think that's not accessible. I can't get a loan to pay for all this. But there are companies out there, obviously, that can make this a reality with a certain budget that you have. And they're not going to compromise on your quality. Just, maybe you won't have as big of a space. And then there are optical companies that will give you, and if you find independent brand, they're usually the ones that are giving you the access to have have better options and things like that. So I'm just wondering, like, how do you get to see a lot of that? Like,
I'm going to just talk from my perspective, being in the profession for 30 years.
Yeah.
When I joined my dad's practice, and I use the analogy of it just self-ran. You had this annuity, and you didn't have to work it. We didn't know our numbers. We'd find out our numbers at the end of the year when the accountant would present and say, "Hey, you did all right. Maybe you could improve a little bit." And we were always looking at the rear view mirror.
Yeah,
we were never looking forward.
Yeah.
And it took me 20 years before I really understood the power of KPIs, analytics, team leadership, being a leader, meeting routinely, understanding your market share, your inventory. And once you're able to measure something, you're able to change it.
Yeah,
and so, and that costs me a lot of money. I mean, you think
experience.
about, and when you think about compound interest, if I was a pro from the beginning, my financial ability or understanding, would take me to huge levels. So it took me 20 years. And I think you're right. That doesn't exist in the school system. It didn't exist when I was there. And I think new grads owe it to themselves to understand business, understand KPIs. We talk about the importance of the handoff. We talk about I look at everybody's production. And I don't run this business as a way to make money. I really love what I do. The money follows.
Yeah.
Okay. But I also want to make sure that you're maxing out on your potential, that a patient comes to see you for a specific need, you're able to fulfill that. You're not scared about selling or leaning in or being curious with a patient. And so the earlier I can get Vanessa, who's just started as a seasoned pro, that compounding effect is huge. And I think the only way that you can really learn that is through the guidance of owners or going to courses and climb and consulting and learning about KPIs and idea sharing, having these types of discussions. So that's a non-monetary advantage that you have here, is that we've put in the work. We're all bruised up, but we understand where we want to go. And my doctors are going to learn from that. But I think that's the problem, is that doctors, if you build it, they will come mentality. And they just don't understand the mechanics of a business.
So one more thing. So there's something about best practice, right? And there's always different best practice, especially after you've done this and you have experience. But I feel like there needs to be a better network who have a discussion about best practice, not only for current business owners, people who are on their way out. They don't want to change anything. They're just getting through. But obviously those optical shops have potential to becoming new optical shops with a new OD. So it's important that, there's more of a network, and that there are blueprints that always need to change and based on, the environment. But
one of the things, to your point, is that we reached our ceiling. We just didn't know how to grow. and we needed guidance. And so I joined Kleiman Consulting Group probably about 6 years ago. And it opened my eyes, not in terms of only the U.S. perspective, which I think you guys are 10 years ahead of the Canadian optometrists, but with the idea sharing, the ability to understand your numbers, and within the first 2 or 3 years of us starting this process where we'd meet biannually, and we would share our horror stories and our successes, and we'd pick 3 things that we wanted to do. Since I started that group, our revenue numbers were in double-digit growth for a mature practice. That was unheard of. But it's sharing stories and figuring out ways, and to feel safe that you're not helping, let's say you're a competitor that's down the street. These are practices that are 1,000 miles away, and you want to help these people grow. So I think having groups like that, sitting down and talking shop.
Well, it's all the independence.
Yeah.
Your competition is not the guy down the street.
No.
Competition is the corporate
right.
giants that are taking away all the profitability.
Yeah, with that, I think that's super powerful. In terms of best practices, I think there also needs to be a cautionary flag in terms of who's sharing the best practice to what end. And I say this because, if you're in the States and your insurance rep comes in and tells you, best practice is to sell all premium product only, don't sell anything, your profitability is down because you're not selling top tier product to every single patient, and they ignore the fact that your capture rate is plummeting because you're not really addressing patient needs. You're just trying to cram, go for the home run and everything. That's kind of crap advice and crap guidance that the insurance rep is giving you, and that's what they're taught to do, is because they make more money when you sell the premium product. I think it's really important for practice owners to talk to more practice owners and then learn more from seniors that way.
Even to share ideas within a practice. I may be doing something a little bit differently than Vanessa's doing, and vice versa. I want to learn, and we're right here. We're in the same office. Right. So I think just idea sharing within the clinic, having those doctor meetings, we have them pretty much every month, and it's after hours, and we share all sorts of things, protocols, and try to be as consistent as possible. I know you're short on time, but I have one question. What are you excited about as you embark on your career? What are the biggest things that you're looking forward to, and what are some of the challenges that you're trying to deviate from?
I'm excited for, I guess, just innovation and growth within the fields. I think this place really captures that here for sure, but I think from my experiences last year in residency, you can really be at the forefront of where optometry is changing, and there's so many subspecializations, which I think I can already see it probably is kind of going in that direction, both in the States and here, whether it's disease, specialty contact lens, PP, whatever it might be. I think there's a lot of room for growth in areas that you don't really realize are there, again, when you're in school. So I'm excited to just continue innovating.
You can see
growing.
The different opportunities, eh?
Yeah, because there's so many areas, I think, even in within the industry that you just don't hear about in school. It's you get the little snippet or the little early bits of understanding a disease or whatever it might be, and there's so much kind of going on, and you can push the envelope so much if you really
outside the primary care.
Exactly, right? Yeah, exactly. And I think even creative stuff like everything that we have here, or with aesthetics and everything, there's a lot of room to grow, which is really exciting. I think the challenges with that is just I guess just parts of being new and still getting the hang of the flow of things and certain patient complaints and hard cases and stuff like that. I feel like I'm still babying some parts of that, but still trying to innovate. It's balancing that whole aspect.
There's an absorption time.
Yeah, and the kind of honestly, even the imposter syndrome that kind of comes with that too. As a new grad, everything all around, I feel like I'm still trying to do basic things, but still really excited about new things, and you're trying to balance the two.
Yeah, it must be, because when I practice, when my dad practiced, he was dispensing frames from a drawer. and very rudimentary equipment. It is changing so fast. And as a new grad, if I was a new grad, my ADHD would be all over the place. Like, I just got to stay in your lane, learn primary care, and then slowly migrate to these specialties. But right now, to be everything to everybody, you're gonna kill yourself. And that's one of the things that we're blessed with. And I think the future of practice will be to consolidate these different niches and have providers that are just doing ortho K, just doing disease management, doing myopia control and aesthetics and dry eye. So I think the future of optometry will be the consolidation of independent practices and growing. And one of the challenges that we face right now is that we don't know what next year is going to hold. In Ontario, we don't have privileges with respect to minor procedures, surgical procedures.
That's the next.
So what we've been talking about is that we built this practice based on our needs 4 years ago, and now things are changing, and we're going to take those banks of offices and we're going to redivide them and rebuild or reimagine optometry based on what the future is. So one of the things that I loved about working with you is that we created these open spaces and we had the flexibility should, if we wanted to convert one specialty to another, we're able to do that. And I think the guidance that I can give to anybody that's going to build an office, whatever your space requirements are, multiply it by 2. Because if you're going to run a successful practice, and that's the hope and the dream, you're going to outgrow your space. So make sure that you can take over a lease next door. Make sure you can maybe bite off more than you can chew without killing yourself financially. Because if you build this dream practice, it will be within 6 to 12 months. And this is what happened here. We have 8,000 or 9,000 workable square feet. We could use an extra 1,000 square feet, right? And so I think it's super important to kind of think 4 years out.
We call it, office proofing, right? Or design proofing.
Yeah.
Thinking of what's to come, and we know that I know it is a very slow curve, but we know that the industry is calling for it. The need is there. Okay, now there's a lot of paperwork and bureaucracy that's part of this whole thing, but we know it's going to happen. But going back to that question that I had at the beginning with in regards to corporate coming and taking the young grads, see, and I hear this a lot from the doctors, is that they get this growth. Now, over and above the fact that they run out of space, but they need doctors, right? They need, and they try and reach out, but the barrel's dry. And what I'm hearing, again, I want to try and verify that I'm hearing correctly, is that the big corporate have a huge say on how many doctors actually get out or are available to the private practices that need this growth, because they're playing the game. They're listening to us, and the customers are coming in, and their numbers are going up and everything. But oh no, I'm handcuffed again now. I don't have enough hours. I need a doc. I need 2 more doctors. And when I'm talking to them, I'm getting this feedback is that they're really, really hard to get. At least here in Ontario, I'm hearing that they're crazy, crazy hard to get.
I think they are hard to get, and we've been blessed to have Dr. Lin as part of our team, and we went through 3 or 4 candidates. And it just wasn't the right fit. And I think what practices do is that if you have a heartbeat, come on in. But that could degrade your practice quite a bit. The other thing I would say is that make sure you need an associate. The impression is, I'm so busy, I need an associate. But you may find that it's not good for revenue flow. It's not good for your profitability. Maybe work an extra half a day as opposed to bringing somebody in. We're at the point we needed somebody to come in. And we went through a process where Vanessa actually did an exam in front of me to see what her style, what her body language was, how curious. And it was with her dad. But I think your dad was more nervous than you.
Honestly, probably.
A tryout.
But I think that when you're making that big decision to bring on an associate, you have to make sure it's the right fit. If it's not the right fit, it can really erode your practice and create lack of consistency. And you know, as much as we all have different personalities, the doctors that we have here, there's a common goal of being very curious when it comes to the patients, leaning in, making sure that we create lifelong relationships, and connecting with that patient. We had interns come in this week, and I said, it's not about the steps from 1 to 20 that constitutes the exam. It's about how do you make that patient feel when they leave? And how do they make you feel when they leave? You know, in terms of you get to have coffee basically with 20 different people a day. So it can't be transactional. And what we found, back to the associates, is that a lot of the doctors that we were interviewing, just because they didn't have the experience, were very transactional. This is what a cataract is. You have astigmatism, going through the tests, and the patient going yes, 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 but really not understanding. There was no connection. So I think we've been blessed with our doctors, and it's tough. There's not a lot of inventory out there. But if you are going to make that decision to bring on an associate, either bring on the right associate or work an extra half a day or day.
That kind of also plays into your office too. If your office is a place that's enjoyable to work at, you're going to attract better doctors. You're going to, it helps your job trying to find an associate that's going to see your vision. Just in the same way, like,
yeah. Same thing is true for staff, by the way. You know,
Even staff.
like I've always never been afraid to recruit somebody that had zero experience in optics. What I really, really look for, and this has actually happened, I've recruited out of a Starbucks, out of a Del Taco, out of a Chili's once, who has turned out to be absolutely fantastic. And what I look for is empathy. You know, that's the one thing that you can't teach, is how they relate to other people and if they have empathy for others. I could teach you optics, man. I could teach you sales techniques and how to engage with people and how to really uncover needs. You know, we really are in the business of uncovering needs for patients that they don't know that they have. You know, when somebody comes in and they're early presbyopic, or even if they've been presbyopic for a while, and they do a ton of computer work, and you ask them, you know, how many monitors are you sitting in front of, and they say 1, and you fail to ask them, is it an ultra wide? Then you've not done your job to figure out like what the scope of how they do it. And so you coach to the behaviors, and you coach to you know, really helping patients out, and then the metrics and the KPIs just follow. So that's super important. But it all really starts with, you know, can this person connect with others? Can this person find a way to communicate even though they're not really speaking the same language, right? You know, I'm not trying to hire somebody who wants to speak in nanometers and wavelengths to a patient that really is there just because they're having a hard time seeing things up close a little bit. You know, being able to communicate effectively in those kinds of situations. Being able to deal with patients that are frustrated because they're having a hard time with something that they've been able to do their entire lives comfortably, right? Why the sudden change? Why are my arms too short now? Right? And being able to explain it in a way that's tactful and polite and kind. That's super, super important. So just like, you know, it is with having the right fit of the doctor, don't be afraid to take somebody on with no experience and then coach them and mentor them the way you want. There's a ton of online basic optics principles that you can share with them. Simplify your business in a way where, you know, these are the products that we sell and this is why. You know, this is how you uncover needs properly. This is what you should be recommending in these circumstances to really meet the needs of the patient. And then everything ends up being a much more harmonious kind of thing. And you get a lot less of the, well, this is the way I've always done it. Which can actually, you know, tank the ship that I've seen.
Good points.
Yeah.
All right. That's more than 10 minutes. Thank you. But we can Thanks, Vanessa. Yeah. I get calls all the time. I'm using eye designs. I'm just going to do you know, basic frame displays, and they're really investing in making a poor investment because they're buying into retail merchandising and retail displays that are 10 years behind.
Well, they're buying into cookie cutters. Okay, now these, you know, we really don't have I keep saying this, we don't have competition because I haven't found anyone that reaches out and is this involved with,
That sounds
with the customer.
a little bit
you-
cocky.
yeah.
It's like the best way we could put it is comparable would be buying into a home, your typical subdivision house. You're 3 inches away from the house next door. Your kitchen looks like your neighbor's kitchen. Their kitchen looks like their neighbor's kitchen. It's the same thing. Then there's us. We're the custom house. We're the custom look. You're not going to look like your neighbor's house. You're not going to look like anyone else's. Your office needs to be your space. Your office needs to reflect your image, your work pattern, everything about that. It's frustrating. So it's frustrating trying to get the doctors to understand that when you go and purchase from a catalog, and again, I'm not trying to start any.
No, don't worry.
We're not
We don't-
competition
we-
for the fact that we're not trying to do massive.
We're not into
We're not
volume.
looking for massive
We're not-
sales.
we're
We're
not
not.
into volume, no.
We're not into exactly. Thank you. We're not into the volume. We want. We're more artists. We.
Oh, that doesn't sound cocky.
But we are. Look at some of the things that we have done.
That's what we hear. Is our creation is art. Okay. I'm gonna be cocky. Okay.
It's not furniture.
Let Frank come out a second.
It's functional art.
Yes.
It's functional art.
It works.
And it draws people's attention. We need. Sorry, not we. We're providing the. You need to draw your patient in.
You need a wow moment.
Exactly. Sorry, not to.
Yeah.
Kerry, we built this office in. You're high tech. You're advanced. You're ahead of everyone else. Your office is exactly that. Ahmed, we're putting your culture into your office.
Oh wait.
It is your office. No one's going to have your office, and people are going to walk in and they're going to look and I've never seen anything like this, and then they're going to go home. They're going to tell their friends, "You got to see this office."
But it creates a story.
It does exactly.
It creates a story. It gives you something that differentiates yourself, and the fact that you're proud.
Yep.
You're proud. I'm so again. You eventually you're going to see this on our clips that together Joseph and Ahmed here designed an Egyptian background office that. When I look at it, and again, I've been the major designer here for the longest time, and now they've surpassed even my expectation on my God. It is so different, and it's something to talk about. It's something. Yeah. It's an experience. The customer when they walk in, it's not like we're going to give you the canvas. What you're going to do with it is then it's up to you. But we're going to give you the ammunition for it. Then obviously it comes to your tactics and how everything that we just discussed here for over probably an hour now on how what the importance is of staffing and how to run your office. And
it starts with your space.
But it
starts with your space.
It starts with the canvas.
Everything starts with your space because you cannot go on the side of the street and just start selling frames. You need your space, and it all comes down to your space. If you don't start with a place that you love, a place that you're happy to call your workplace, your second home, your first home, you don't have a base to start on. You're starting on one leg. You're not doing what you need. Exactly. You need to lay the proper foundation. Sorry, I'm go ahead.
It's from the perspective of somebody who has struggled immensely with not wanting to fuck up on who I choose to partner with, right? And having had interactions with other players in this space. The biggest difference that I have come to between iEvolve and the others is that when iEvolve creates the creation that iEvolve provides is so that it meets your needs, right? So it's built around you, whether it's whatever is important to you, whether it's a cultural influence, whether it's technological necessity, patient flow, business needs, all that. You guys customize it to the needs of the individual, versus the competition tells you to adapt to what they have to offer, and then you're stuck with, like, you know, can I make this work versus you guys are making this work for me. And that's kind of like the biggest significant, you know, the biggest significant difference that I've seen between the competitors and you, and that's why I ended up going this route. I am very discerning about what I want, and I want things done a certain way, and I want things to meet certain objectives, and if it doesn't really do that for me, then I'm not really going to bite. And you guys have been able to do that really well. So.
Let me touch on something there for a second. The competition, what's the look? What is the look of the competition? Even though they have this massive catalog to choose from, what is the look? Lens crafters, all the box stores.
It's 10 years. It's 10 years.
It's not just behind. It's the look.
It's their game. It's the way they play their game. But I don't take anything away from them, because
hold on, I know, but
they play volume. They play volume.
No, I know.
And
but
they have to find a norm.
My point.
They have to find an average.
I remember my
that
ADD is going to make me forget what I was talking about before.
Go.
If the look is the same as the chains, as your lens crafters, your Hamada Optical, all that stuff, if your look is that, then where is your competition? We were just talking about how all these companies are associated with all these frame suppliers, and they can sell the frames for cheaper. So if you look like them and they're selling their frames for cheaper,
yeah, you can't
where are you the competition? You're not. You look like them with a higher price.
I would say, and this is an accolade that you guys have, is that you guys build personality. You have this blank canvas. The owner can dream, but you can also dream with us. And that's very unique. It's not transactional. It's not about this cabinet will fit in this room. It's about, have you ever thought about this? And often, I mean, we just had this with the new design that we're doing. Frank, you'll come in and we'll have 15 different ideas, and then we'll tease through, Jason and I will tease through them and come up with one that really works, as opposed to, I just want to get this thing done. You want a room here? You'll get a room here. You guys are as passionate, if not more, than the owner is, and that's why.
But you can't do that on a corporate level. When you and I get it. I hate to give credit to some of not competitors, some of the big boys. Okay, that. That's how they can. How do you have that passion for 500 people that I'm serving this year? You can't have that connection. I get it, but there's a market for that, and that's fine. It works, just like what the young doctor was saying. You know, that some what Joseph was saying too, that they're happy just working on a corporate level.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is my income. I get my 3 weeks a year, my 4 weeks a year. I get, you know, it works for them. We are definitely out for the people that want to make that difference. For the people, for the doctors that want that independence. They want that personal experience that is a reflection of themselves. Okay, like, again, I'm surrounded here on both sides of just that perfect example, that it's who they are, and it gives you the opportunity to show the people who you are, right?
But so at the same time, why shouldn't you want that? Would you? I've been in some people's houses. You walk in, it's stale. They don't care too much about it, but they're happy.
They're happy with it.
But
yes.
If you walk into your house and you have this couch that you really like, and this painting that you really like, and you like the way you set up your stereo and your TV, why isn't your office the same way? Why aren't you walking in, and as soon as you walk in, I love that display. Every day I walk in, I look at that display, I love it. Oh, wow, look at that waterfall. Why is your mentality at home not the same mentality? It's, as we brought it up, it's your first home.
In some cases, it is your first home.
I feel like, from an outsider, in a sense, it's the accessibility. Like, when you talk about this, when you see this, you think, oh, that's boutique, that's high end, I can't. But ever since I've met you guys and started working with you guys are very accessible. As busy as you guys are,
we don't fit into that typical thing that because our stuff looks high end, it has to have a high price. It's not that situation.
That's been my experience so far, seeing how you guys work, and accessibility. And even what I do on a private label basis, it's very accessible, but I just don't have a loud enough speakerphone or a network to really share that message. And I'm happy to share one at a time, but I feel like we do need to stay competitive, to be profitable as our businesses, to keep it going. We need to build the network in order to have those discerning customers, right?
I am so frustrated with the fact that Lensotica, VSP, these monsters, they're just chewing up the market. And then you've got the private sector, which has the customer already inside the door, and we show them the door. Come on, why are we giving them back to corporate? They're coming and testing our water. Why aren't we embracing that? Why are we not showing them that we respect the opportunity to have this relationship with you? And like, again, it's a win-win for everyone. You feel the reward behind it, that you've given them the best possible refractions, everything that you can provide to them, from the diagnostic part till the even going into the cosmetic, oh my God, the customer's already inside, guys.
They're your customers.
They're already your customers, and I gotta keep repeating it until it's heard.
I want to touch on the fact about what Eddie was saying about the not attainability, accessibility. Thank you.
Or 11 million.
Yeah.
Field, right?
What people don't understand is we are almost more accessible than ordering from a catalog. You can have a custom office for the same price, if not the same price. Like,
the impression is that if it's bespoke, then it's going to be more expensive.
yeah, but that is on top of that is the world we live in. There's so many things that are upcharged just because they look more expensive. But in the fact they still cost the same. Me and Ahmed here are car guys. You go and you look at a Ferrari compared to a Toyota, and you take apart that Ferrari, and it's got, pardon my language, booger welds everywhere. It's not well built. God, by all means, I would love a Ferrari, but it's not as well built as a Toyota Corolla. But yet, that Toyota Corolla is worth $30,000-$40,000, and that Ferrari is worth $500,000. That is the industry we live in, but that's not mission, but that's not how we are operating our company. We want to give you that Ferrari look for that Corolla price. Right. And whatever your budget is, we work with it. You're going to get something in the end. We don't even have a success or a failure rate, because I don't think we've ever worked for anyone that's not loved what we've given them. And one thing I'd love to address that is very hard, that we have one thing, we have addressed a lot of things, saying one thing I want to address. One of the things that I notice the most when we do these shows is doctors walk up. Can you give me a budget? We can't give you a budget. We don't know there's too many factors. We don't know your space. We don't know what you want. Can you give us a budget? What is your budget? And we'll make sure that we can do something within your grasp. So we're not going to take your budget and just be like, start it. And then, you know what, it's going to be $30,000, $40,000. We're going to work inside what you're capable of doing. Yeah. We can't just say, they look at our past work. Well, how much does that display? That office has 14-foot ceilings, and material costs double when we start to go along lengths and stuff like that. We can't break down the fact that how it's manufactured affects greatly the price. But give us what you are willing to spend. Give us your comfort zone. We're going to give you what you want. We're going to give you we're not going to just give you what you want. We're going to surpass your expectations. And I hope that Ahmed and Kerry, Ahmed, we're still in the works with you, but Kerry, I hope that's exactly what we did, that we exceeded your expectations.
Oh, you guys exceeded my expectations. I still like you guys. We're still working together. You came in on budget. You came in on time. I mean, I can go through a whole story of how we built this during COVID and the trials and tribulations. But, you know, we had a horseshoe up our tuchus. I mean, we got very, and really, I mean, I'm not here to promote you for the sake of just, but I love you guys. You guys have done wonders to our practice. You've built up our revenues. You've made our patients happier, our staff happier, our doctors happier, and that is priceless. And at the end of the day, I think that doctors need to rather than buying that Ferrari, put that Ferrari money into their office, and you'll have 3 Ferraris after 10 years, right? If that's what motivates.
To mention a space that every time they wake up, they're not going, man, I got to go to work.
100%.
No, they're waking up and like, when I come to your office, I'm looking forward. I was even in the car with one of our other designers, my sister Catherine, and I'm like, let's stop at Starbucks. And they're done. No, Kerry's coffee's fantastic. Let's just wait until we get there, because then if I get Starbucks, then I can't have another coffee when I get to Kerry's.
Wait till you see our soda.
Oh, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, very excited.
Is there ice available in that soda?
No.
So for me, I need iced Americano during the summertime. So once
iced
you
coffee.
provide ice,
Yeah, come on.
then forget Starbucks.
See, they're always 10 years ahead, right? All right.
I feel bad. I know Leon's running behind, but here again,
fantastic
just
producer.
as a conclusion, so simple. Industry, okay, meaning the eye industry has given you this great potential, has given you this gem. Use our technology to polish it, okay, and make it shine and make it your own. Okay, so again, thank you again. Maybe we can have this as an unrated version on our podcast. But again,
Who knew it wasn't me that was dropping the bombs?
Yeah, right.
Thank you again, everyone.
Thank you.